What is happening there? J Gamer Dude here, and I'm going to be talking about the Xbox Partner Showcase. And I think that the single image on the screen here right now is pretty much going to be like the main thing I'm going to be talking about and referencing pretty much the entire way through. So, all in all, the whole show was alright, and there was only due to a handful of games, and I'm going to go through them now just to kind of give you an idea. So first, also everything here is kind of like in the exact order that I think, if I remember right, watching the Xbox Showcase, it was all in this order, and it was very much presented like a state of play. I feel like that absolutely does need to be mentioned. It just doesn't have that voice in between. And as far as like the actual presentation of like some of the graphics in between the games, you know, like some of the guys at PlayStation are having a lot of fun with it. Xbox, I didn't quite feel that in this particular thing, but it's pretty much like taking the state of play or taking the Nintendo Direct style and then more Xboxenizing it, however you want to call that. But yeah, it is what it is. So let's just kind of go through it. So first and foremost, one of the games that carried this showcase pretty hard was Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, or Yakuza 8 as I like to call it, because it is the 8th mainline Yakuza game. Even though it's called Like a Dragon, I will stubbornly stick to my central mass that says I will keep calling it Yakuza, but it is what it is. It was an excellent trailer. I had so much fun watching it because being a fan of the series, of course, like any fan of the series looking at this would be like, okay, more of the focus is going to be on the side stuff, less so on the actual main story, and whatever does happen, we'd rather be surprised when it actually happens. And so focusing on like the sort of Animal Crossing type, you have your own island where you can build your own house, decorate your house however you like, then you can start building a town around that house, managing everything. It seems super cool. I am very excited for this because for a fan, like someone like me who is a fan of beaches, I absolutely love the idea of making my own little like island beach type thing that isn't just in Animal Crossing. And hell, the idea of like catching bugs and all that stuff in between, it was all showcased. I love the jokes, the parody of it being, you know, provided as an advertisement for like a vacation. It's cool stuff. Honestly, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm very excited for this. So yeah, definitely hard carry by this being one of the few games. Ikaru Will Not Die is a sort of roguelike game that is very much in the vein of like Vector. Not Vector, what was it called? You know, it was called Vector, yeah. Where it's like sort of third person parkour roguelike where you kind of just go through and try to, I think, reach the exit of a dungeon. And you kind of like, there's a lot of like sort of moving and shaking going on. It's an interesting looking game, probably not one that's actually going to interest me all that much. Still Wakes the Deep was the next thing on the list. And so this third game is pretty much like, it tries to invoke Soma in a way, which is like, you're in a dark place, there's a lot of water, it feels like a simulator. There's some talking, but there's very little actually shown, so we don't truly know or understand what this actual game is. Moving on from that to a potential Game of the Year candidate, no matter how many times I say that as a joke, it doesn't really rub itself well as much as with RoboCop Rogue City, which is actually a good looking RoboCop game, and it shocks me to say that because I've seen some of the gameplay after the Steam Next Fest, and goddamn, I'm interested. I like that old 80s movie properties are getting a genuinely good like video game adaptions in their relative franchises. I mean, Alien Isolation felt very much, in a very weird way of saying, isolated for being a good 80s video game. Like, well, based off of an 80s franchise, namely Alien. Well, 70s. Okay? Alien did come out in the 1970s, so there's that. But RoboCop is so exciting to jump into. I mean, the newest Terminator game was also really good. I can't remember what it was called, but it was bloody excellent for what you could ever expect to be a Terminator game. So now here we've got RoboCop. So far, the stuff that's hit me Actually, I'll just say that at the end. So next, we have Dungeons of Hinterberg, which is sort of like not side scrolling. It's sort of like dodgy, hacky, slashy action with a lot of social elements to it. It feels like it's like a Persona, but with real-time action rather than turn-based combat. And its art style doesn't really do much for me, to be completely honest, but maybe it might do something for other people, who knows. Game number 6 on the list was Spirit of the North 2, so a sequel to the Spirit of the North game, which I don't think a lot of people would know about. Having personally played only a little bit of it, but I do need to go back and platinum the game. Spirit of the North is a game in which you play as a fox in this sort of three-dimensional space, which some people have assumed was actually a side-scrolly game, but it actually isn't. Though it's nice being able to play like as a fox in a game. And yeah, there are a bunch of games like that, but Spirit of the North feels like one of the better ones. Then we get some in-engine footage of Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. So this is the Snake Eater remake, which looks incredible, but I really would, as a Metal Gear fan, I would very much like to see some actual gameplay. Granted, we did see some nice looking locations, and especially some very notable locations, like the bridge at the very beginning of the game. We do see that in the trailer, as well as the rundown building where we run into Ocelot for the first time. Revolver Ocelot, to be more precise, where he just kind of starts juggling around his pistols. Yeah, he has 2 at the time, if I remember right. But yeah, interesting stuff. Nonetheless, the finals. So this isn't. I thought that the finals for the longest time was an extraction shooter, but apparently it's an arena-based shooter. So I would like to see the finals actually succeed, because I do want arena-based shooters to make a return. I feel like Unreal Tournament 2 has, long since been put by the wayside, and I mean, Halo seems to really be clogging it up the arse cheeks, so to speak. So I'm hoping that the finals really does sort of bring things back, though that's highly unlikely given how live services have actually been working nowadays and everything else in between. Manor Lords was next on the list, and this feels like it's supposed to be based kind of off of like strategy games like Age of Empires, which I thought it was going to be when I saw the trailer, but I guess it wasn't really much to go off of, to be completely honest, with Manor Lord. So maybe one to keep an eye out for if you're a fan of Age of Empires. Next we have Ark Survival Ascended, which is a remake of, or rather an enhanced version of Ark Survival Evolved, which is the only, well, there are a few Ark games. So you've got Ark Survival Evolved, which is the survival game with dinosaurs, guns, building houses and stuff. Ascended is pretty much like a better version of that. And then you've got the VR game Ark Park, which is kind of its own separate thing, but kind of in the same area. And then we have Ark Survival Evolved, or Ark 2 rather, which is announced by Vin Diesel. I can't remember when, it was a while ago. But Ark 2 is yet to still be announced, like for its release dates and everything, which Survival Ascended I'm pretty sure will lead towards. So a re-release of the original Ark as an Ascended version with all of its DLC and junk? Well, actually, come to think of it, there has been some controversy around whether or not the DLC is going to be included, or if we have to pay for that separately, or whatever the pricing structure is, or not being able to give sort of an upgraded an upgrade to people who already have the game. There's a lot going on there, and probably not worth getting too much into, but it's a bit of a mess. And finally, we did have Alan Wake 2, which is coming out within the next week or so. So it's kind of more of like a launch trailer, I feel like, more than anything else that they're showing off this game. But ultimately, in the end, for me, the games that kind of really carried this partner preview was Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, RoboCop Rogue City, and possibly Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater. I was going to say Spirit of the North too, but I'm more than happy to wait for that. So those 3 games specifically, and if I were to say a 4th, then Spirit of the North 2, are kind of the ones that carried the entire show for me personally. Again, easily game of the show would have had to have been Infinite Wealth. Yakuza 8, for sure, without a doubt, was, for me, the game of the entire show. As exciting as MGS Delta Snake Eater is, it's better that we kind of see some gameplay before we get a little bit too excited, given that Konami can really mess things up royally up the flagpole, so to speak, and I would rather they not, mess things up completely terribly. So those are kind of, what was announced announced and shown, I suppose, depending on how you want to look at it, at the Xbox Partner Showcase of the 25th of October. Well, it's 26th of October for me, so I've already dated this video as far as it is. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Partner Showcase in the comments below. Overall, I think that the whole thing was okay. Again, it's just being carried by games that we already knew about, and they aren't even Xbox exclusives, so there really isn't much more to go off of there. But with all that said and done, those are my thoughts. Share yours in the comments below. Like the video if you like whatever I was thinking, and even if you disagree, it is what it is. And subscribe to the channel, because I am looking to hopefully reach 100 subs by the end of the year, and hopefully my videos do get pushed out to more people. But with all of that said and done, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.